How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at another product from Bowser. We're looking at Bowser GMD EMD SD40-2. This is Canadian Pacific 6025, and as you see it says rebuilt and it has sound in it, ESU Loc sound. And we're going to be looking at it here today on Elvis Junction Reviews. Now, I've already covered the history of the SD40-2 in greater detail in some of my previous videos, so if you want more information, you can check out those videos after this one, of course. But what you need to know is that the SD40-2 was a 6-axle diesel-electric locomotive built by EMD and its Canadian counterpart, GMD. Producing 3,000 horsepower, they were extremely reliable and proved popular with railroads. They were so popular that almost 4,000 were produced, and they became the backbone of railroads for nearly 3 decades. Now, the pride of the SD40-2 has come to an end, unfortunately. They are no longer considered as mainline units. They now work in yards. They serve as local power as well as work train power, and also they will run transfer runs between different railroads. But our locomotive here, CP6025, was built in December of 1982 in the Canadian Pacific's multi-mark paint scheme, and it kept that scheme up until late 2021, early 2022, when it was chosen for rebuild status and was painted into the beaver scheme that it currently wears today. Alright, so now with history out of the way, let's get into some details, starting with the front. Alrighty, so we're looking at the front of the locomotive now. We're going to start from the top and work our way down to the bottom, as we always do. Starting at the top here, you can see the forehead mounted bell right here, as well as the number boards that say 6025 on either side of the bell. We have the cab windows right here, as you can see. Then we have separately applied windshield wipers right here, as well as here, and right there. Here is the door to access the cab from the front of the locomotive. And you can just see it, but there's a white grab iron right here, as well as the sand filler hatch on top of the nose. We focus actually on the nose here. You can see CP on either side of the headlight, which does operate when the locomotive is in motion. We have our little walkway light right here, our handrails, a couple of lift rings, very large lift rings I might add, one right here and one right here. There is a vertical grab iron right here on the in front of this handrail. When we look at the side, you'll be able to see it a lot more easily. Underneath the anti-climber, we have our ditch lights, which do operate when the locomotive is moving in a forward motion. We have our coupler cut bar, you can see that starts here and ends there with its white handles. You can actually see the coupler cut bar right there. We have 3 MU hoses on either side of the coupler right here, as well as an air brake hose. Here is our coupler, and here is the curved snowplow, which I thought is very unique for this locomotive. And I just remembered, there are 2 grab irons, one right here as well as one right here, and you can see on the door there is a little sticker to indicate that there's a first aid kit inside of this locomotive, and there is an MU socket right there. Alright, so now let's look at the rear. Looking at the rear of the locomotive, you can see the sand filler hatch right up here, as well as some grab irons that work their way from the top of the locomotive down to the walkway. Here are the numbers, 6025 on either side of the angle. We have our rear headlight that does operate when the locomotive is reversing. It says CP right here. Another horizontal grab iron right there. There's our walkway light. You can see these pipes that lead from the angled part of the rear here that go up onto the roof of the locomotive. Now, I'm not exactly an expert on Canadian locomotives, so if anybody knows what these pipes do, please let me know in the comments. I would greatly appreciate that. Now, if we focus on the pilot here, you can see those larger lift rings that I mentioned earlier, right there and right there. We have our handrails, and there is a walkway step, so if you need to traverse from this locomotive to another, you don't fall in between the locomotives. We have our coupler cut bar right here, as well as some illegible stickers. Here is the knuckle, as well as our air brake hose, and 3 MU cables on either side of the knuckle. Alright, so let's look at some side detail. Alrighty, so looking at the conductor's side of the locomotive here, you can see right away, the steps that lead up to the forward walkway. A large F to indicate this is the front of the locomotive. The handrail here, which is bent out of shape, but it's not, but it won't move, which is nice. Like, it's not going to break on me, which it's a plus, but it's also not because it is bent out of shape, so I'll take points off for that. Here is our handbrake wheel right here, which is essentially like your car's parking brake. There is some electrical boxes right underneath the cab. Speaking of the cab, here is the numbers 6025, SD40-2, and DRF-30. We have our side mirror right here. And as you can see, there's the bell. No sunshade, just like the SD40-2F that I've reviewed. We have our trucks right here with their truck detail, and then very nice truck detail in fact, and then you can see all the brake piping and such, as well as some illegible stickers right here, here, and here. Here is the sand tube, so if it's wet or icy and you need more traction, you can put sand on the rails and the locomotive's wheels will grip onto the sand and provide better traction. Moving the locomotive forward, you can see the blower right here, as well as the large fuel tank or air tank reservoirs right here. As we move the locomotive just a little bit forward, you can see the lovely Canadian Pacific logo, as well as the Beaver logo right here, which is a very iconic CP logo. Moving along, you can see the horn right just up here, as well as the rear truck detail as well, and the large rear walkway, which was due to the large size of these trucks, or the bogies, if you want to call them that. It's pretty much the same on the engineer's side, the only difference being that there is no handbrake wheel. There's a grab iron right there. There's a door here that accesses the electrical compartment of the locomotive. As we move along here, you can see the dynamic brake fan array right here, as well as a window to look inside where the radiators and the prime mover is as well. Oh, and I just realized you can see the jack pad right there. All right, so now let's look at some roof detail. Looking at the roof of the locomotive, you can now see the PTC antenna array right here, as well as the original antenna that came on the locomotive when it was built new. You can see that grab iron that I mentioned earlier, and there you can see jutting out is that handrail that I did mention that was vertical. As we move along, you can see the dust collector right here, as well as the exhaust stack right there. Our dynamic brake fans right here, and I actually was cleaning this locomotive. It was a little dusty when I brought it out of the box, and I blew on it, and the fans actually did spin, which was very interesting. Moving on to the other rest of the fans here, you can see a winterization like cover. Now, I'm not exactly sure the reasoning for it, so if anybody does know in the comments, please let me know. I'd greatly appreciate that. You can see those pipes that I mentioned while we were looking at the rear, and you can see they lead from the winterization hatch down to the bottom right here. I believe maybe it's for heat, I suppose, but I could be wrong. Please let me know. And there is the horn right there, and a widthwise grab iron right here. And there is the sand filler hatch as well. And also the locomotive has a series of lift rings. You can see them right there, as well as right here and right here. All right, so now let's get into the sound demo. Alrighty, so we have the locomotive here up on the test track, so let's go ahead and put some power onto the track here. Alright, so you heard the startup sequence there. So, F0 is the main headlight. And you can see it is just on there. I'll push the locomotive back maybe just a little bit, you might be able to see it. Yep, there you go, you can see it a lot better. F6 for loc sound is the ditch lights. There they are on as well. F1 is the bell. F2 is the horn. Now F3 is the coupler effect, so this first part you're going to hear, it's going to be connecting to, say, the freight car or the other locomotive. So there you go. And if you hit the button again, it decouples, and you'll hear the air brake hoses magnetically uncouple. So that was the air hose right there. Now F4 is a dynamic brake. Now unfortunately, we're not going to be able to hear that because we need more than 3 feet of track to be able to hear that going. F5 is class lights. Now I don't believe this locomotive has class lights. No, it does not. Let's just make sure that's it. Alright. Now F7 is a flange squeal, and same thing with the dynamic brakes. We're not going to be able to hear that because of the 3 feet of track. But in a later video, you will be able to hear that along with the SD40-2 that I have. They'll be running together on the train, and we'll make sure that happens. But don't know when that'll happen. But anyway, we have a few more things like the drive hold, prime mover sound, as well as the independent brake, radiator fans, handbrake isolation switch, air dryer on shutdown, brake set release automatic, sanding valve, air dryer, and a few other things like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a quick little test jump here. Throw her into reverse. Put the bell on. 3 blasts of the horn. Now let's get moving here. And it seems she is cut out. Alright, let's see what. Alright, hold on a minute. There she is. So we'll just go ahead and bring her forward now. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and turn off the ditch lights, the main headlight, and we'll turn off the F8 key, which is the prime mover sign. Alrighty, so now let's get into my final thoughts. So overall, I think this is a very good looking locomotive. I really didn't have any problems with it apart from that bent grab iron, that bent handrail right here. But apart from that, I didn't have any other problems with it. It looks great, it sounds great, and it had a good weight to it. I was quite impressed by that. But anyway, I got mine at midwestmodelrailroad.com. There will be a link to their website in the description down below if you want to get one yourself. I recommend you hurry up. These are proving very popular and they're selling out very quickly. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Also subscribe if you have not, and hit that notification bell to see what I have to upload next. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.